Hey everyone, it's Carter King. If you're an educator, a leader, or just a parent who wants to teach kids about space, check out my newest book, Carter's Journey Through Space. It's available now on Amazon, Target, and bookstores everywhere. Come explore the universe with me.
Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is simple: to help you create environments where people thrive. Through real conversations, practical strategies, and powerful stories, we equip leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself to build cultures rooted in purpose, performance, and authenticity. Because culture isn't something you talk about, it's something you live. This is the Contagious Culture Podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is to help you create ecosystems and environments for people to thrive. Look, if you are a leader, if you are a change maker, and if you are in a space where you're challenged with how you grow, how you build, how you scale your own leadership efforts, ooh, do we have a treat today. Janice Coleman is somebody that has almost 3 decades with boots on the ground in corporate America. But how she puts it is stilettos on the ground. She is someone that's going to talk about how to look in yourself, understand what you need to unpack so that you can be able to impact not just yourself, not just your own career, but the people around you. She's transformed, inspired, and motivated teams around the world. And I am so excited to be able to touch base with her today. Janice, how you doing?
I'm amazing, Kyle. How are you today?
I am fantastic. Before we get started, can you just talk about who you are and what is the story that got you to this place today?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Kyle, for inviting me to be with you today. And the fact that you said 3 decades is a little bit challenging, but I'm going to take it because it is what it is, right? And, as I've been in the career development, education training, leadership training, and as a speaker for 26 years, 3 decades. Stilettos on the ground, yes, because even though I do wear boots, when you have to identify who's doing the what, it's stilettos because it just brings, I think, the flavor of who I am when I'm on the stage and how people identify me. My career started in information technology, where I was for 12 years. And after the 12th year and the emergence of my last child, I decided I wanted to broaden my platform for helping people. Although I worked for a multi-billion-dollar insurance company, insurance provider here in the greater Philadelphia area, I knew that I was ready to reach beyond those doors. I could help insurers, I could help providers, and we were helping them to make a lot of money. But I wanted to be able to change people's lives, heart to heart and face to face. And so in 1999, I decided to transition from IT, where I was for 12 years, into where I have been now for 26 years, helping people to find jobs they love and to find the jobs that love them, but also to build unstoppable lives, whether it's from the professional standpoint or from the personal standpoint. And I absolutely love what I do. It's almost illegal to love my work as much as I do.
I really appreciate you sharing that. And just every time that I hear you say to find jobs that they love, but then also find jobs that love them back. It really inspires me because there's so many people, Miss Janice, that hate their jobs, that are only showing up for a paycheck, that are only showing up because they have responsibilities or bills to pay. What is your message to those people? Because you said something earlier. You said that I knew I was ready to make that leap, to make that change, to make that shift. But there's some people that are in these roles that want to make the shift, but don't have the courage, don't have the grit, don't have what you had. So I guess what would be your message to them?
My message is firstly to understand that if you spend so much time, and we often do, getting ready for work, going to work, being at work, traveling from work, and then spending a lot of time thinking about work. After we're home, work needs to be more than a paycheck. It needs to be more than dollars in the bank. And a lot of times that's not how we're built. That's not how we're trained. That's not what society tells us. Society tells us, get in there, get in the grind, and get every dollar you can and can all you get and sit on your can and all those wonderful things. But society doesn't tell us how to be happy. And society really can't tell us that. But what helps us to understand how to be happy is what resonates with us as the person that we are. Who are we? What am I good at? And how can I develop that in such a way so that I can find that space in the marketplace where I can use what I'm good at and also provide for myself and my family and be a benefit and valuable to the people that I serve.
I appreciate those 3 bullet points and takeaways. And for our audience that missed it, who are we? What are we good at? And how can I develop that thing so that I can also be happy, but then benefit my family as well as others? So I'm going to push back, Miss Janice. Who are you? What are you good at? And how are you developing that thing so that you could benefit not only yourself, but people around you?
Who am I? I have a long list of titles. Kyle, first and foremost, I am a child of God, which is what gives me my purpose, gives me my identity. I don't get my identity from what the world tells me I should be, because if I did, I'd still be in probably a very abysmal situation. I was born and raised in the inner city. And my family was like many families in our neighborhood, the working poor. Most people got up, went to work, did what they had to do, come back Monday through Friday. And on the weekends, we made our way to the laundromat. We made our way to the supermarket. And those were the things we did. So if I took that identity.
Hey, it's Kyle. Sorry to interrupt your programming, but I got a quick culture check for you. How's your team's energy right now? I mean, literally, right now. Are people feeling inspired? Or are they just showing up? See, here's the truth. Culture doesn't change because we talk about it. It changes because we live it actively every single day. And that's what I help organizations do. Build contagious cultures that people actually want to be a part of. Through keynote talks, interactive trainings, and hands-on consulting, I help leaders transform the way their teams connect, perform, and grow. So if your culture needs a little bit of spark, let's light it up together. Visit theculturelab.org, again, theculturelab.org, or connect with me directly on LinkedIn at Kyle S. King to learn more about how we can work together. Because remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching. Now let's get back to the program.
That was set up for me before I was even born. If I took that identity, I'd still be there. I wouldn't be talking to Kyle King right now if I allowed that identity to define me. And then the lie identity, as Myron Golden would say, the lie identity, the thing that I use to push back to the world and say, I'm not that which you want me to be, but I'm going to decide to be this because I can be. I could have been a basketball player. I'm 6 feet tall. And back then 6 feet was pretty tall.
Yeah.
Now, it is not. That's a whole nother story. I could have been a musician because I was on my way to being that musician. I could have been a lot of things. I could still be in IT if I took on what I thought would make me overcome what identity the world wanted to give me. But my identity, my true identity, is living from what's put inside of me, which is that hope and ability to prepare people to perform, to help people to reach their potential, whether it's one word that I might share with them, whether it's a hand up that I might give them through a connection that I'm able to make, or whether it's me helping them to peel the onion of who they are so that they can now walk free and start to live in their own identity. So who am I? I'm that child of God. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am a grandmother. I am a cousin, a friend, a family member, a colleague, a mentor, and all of that wrapped up into one. And so when you get me, you get all of that. Like, I'm not a pretender. You know, I just am that I am, you know, and that's who I am.
You know, you said something there that gave me chills. I'm not a pretender. And you also said something earlier. I prepare people on how to perform. But I think the challenge there, Miss Janice, is that some people look at performance as pretending, that I'm going to work for a job that I hate, or a boss that I hate, and I'm performing, I'm putting on, I am code switching, and it's never given them the time to understand who they are and what they've been put on this earth to be able to do. So what's your message to that person that feels that the way that I grow in a company and the way that I make more money and grow in my life is performance by way of pretending? Can you delineate the difference between the two?
Sure. Pretending is the ability to really operate in a way that's contrary to the person you are. A pretender is a person who will smile at Kyle because Kyle is in the top office in the corner with the mahogany desk. And I smile at you. But then when I look at the janitor, hurry up and get it done.
That's good.
So if I am the person who's going to smile at Kyle, I'm the person who's going to smile at the janitor. That is me across the board. When I'm at work, there are things that we have to do. So we do put on that work hat and we had better. But I take issue with people, when we talk about pretenders, I take issue with people who can be on time for work, but late for every family event. Everyone. They're known in the family as the person who's late. So now that's a pretender, because I look at my job and feel like I have to show up in a certain way to keep my job and to be promotable in my job. But to my family, I treat them a totally different way.
That's good.
That's a pretender. It's a person who is not congruent in every situation. Doesn't mean you have to do the same thing in every situation, because every situation does not require the same thing, if that makes sense.
I really appreciate you sharing that, because it's kind of the quote that I've heard years ago about how you do anything is how you do everything. If I'm not integral at work, I'm probably not integral at home. If I'm not, on time here, then I'm probably late a little bit of everywhere. Yeah. And I love, again, I just want to just highlight how you prepare people to perform. Can you talk about how you do that? And what would be the first few steps if I'm trying to perform better, whether it be as a business leader or as an employee within a company? How do I do it and where do I begin?
Well, if I may, as you push back with one of my comments, can I push back on that statement?
Of course.
How I do everything and how I do anything is one of those statements that really makes me go, oh my goodness, because it for most people, that's not true. For most people, it is not true. And from my own personal experiences, and I'm sure that you've had this and your audience has experienced this as well. When you reach out to somebody, you send them a text message, and 2 weeks later, OMG, I didn't see your text message. 2 weeks.
That's true.
But if you were a highfalutin, entrepreneur, multi-million-dollar person, and you sent that text to that person who didn't see the one 2 weeks ago, they would see your text before the ink got dry on the computer, right? Just That's just being,
That's good.
they would see it. Why? Because they value that person more than they value even a family member or even a friend.
That's good.
So how you do everything is not always how you do anything is not always how you do everything. Most of us choose, and we have levels. And so being integral in that way is important to me. If I can't answer your question, you send me a text message and I can't answer it right now, but I'm going to acknowledge it. I'll say, hey, I saw your text message. Can't talk right now. I'll get back to you.
That's good.
And even yesterday, my eldest son called me in response to a call I made to him. And I said, I'll call you back. And when I didn't yesterday, this morning at 6:10, I sent him a text message saying, hey, happy Wednesday. I apologize for not getting back to you and wanted to let you know I'll catch up with you later today. So I'm not overlooking his importance by totally ignoring the fact that I said I was going to call him and I didn't. I'm acknowledging him just like I would for a Kyle King or for a President Barack Obama.
I appreciate that. I don't know if you're meaning to trigger me or if it's just happening, because I have text messages from people from 2 weeks ago that I need to get back to. And as I think about it, when someone reaches out about opportunities, speaking engagements, revenue opportunities, it's immediate. It's an immediate, let me stop what I'm doing, let me sit and focus, rather than that friend or that colleague or that family member that texted me a few weeks ago, me just picking up my phone, sending a quick 20-second voice memo back to them saying, hey, I don't have time or capacity to deal with this, but I'll get back to you when I have time. So that makes me want to just stop the episode and just respond to all of the messages that I have. And I think that's so important because it's integrity. I think we look at it as just overlooking or that we're busy, but we're not busy.
Not that busy. We really are not. So, and even with that statement that you just made, that's how I seek to help to prepare people to perform. Because what we first have to do is be self-aware of how we are showing up. And how do people see us?
That's good.
And what that is called in the marketplace is brand. How do people see us? I did a presentation probably 2 years ago, and maybe 100 people in the room. And I did an evaluation. I asked a question, and the presentation was called Best of Class. And I did an evaluation. I asked them several questions. When you think of best of class in higher education, what institutions do you think of? And they gave me, the top of the line, right? Yeah. Of course, all Ivy League, and then of course their alma maters too. and then I asked, well, what's top of class when you think of retail stores? And of course, the top of the line. And I asked a couple of more, like automobiles and a few other categories. And then I said, and can we say brand names on here?
Of course.
Okay. Then I asked, what is top of class when you consider fast food stores, fast food restaurants? And there was only one.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. See? What is that? That is brand. That's all good. Of the other categories, there were multiple choices.
That's good.
But out of 100 people, most of whom did not even know each other, every person in that room, including the servers who were setting up the tables, said Chick-fil-A. That speaks volumes.
Wow.
And what does that say when people think about us? And it should not be depending upon where I know you from. Excuse me for the preposition at the end of the sentence. How I know you determines what brand I see you fitting. it should be a congruency across the board. And so when we first start out, I want to know how aware you are with how you are showing up, and what are people experiencing when they consider who you are. And now, how can we get alignment with those two things? And then from there, we look at where you want to go and what are the things that are going to get you there successfully. And then we start to work on those things that are going to get you to where it is you need to be.
You know, I really appreciate you saying that, because it's very interesting that when you said fast food, the only brand that I thought about was Chick-fil-A. And as I think about, if you were to say top of class in automotive, there's a lot of other options. When you think of top of class in fashion stores, there's a lot of options. But when you said fast food, there was only one thought that came to my mind. And as I think about that in my own brand, when you think fundraising, when you think even podcasting in this space, how do I create a brand that when you hear it, you think of that person's name?
Right.
So I ask you that question. When people see Miss Janice Coleman, what would you want and desire for that brand to say? What would be that description under the name?
The description would be powerful. The description would be intelligence. The description would be compassionate, empathetic, but unrelenting with standards. That it would be insightful, and it would be a brand of wisdom.
How long did it take for you, or maybe what did it take for you to be so clear in that? And for people that are listening in, how can they get to the point where they have the courage, the confidence, and the boldness to be clear and concise in what they would want to be able to put out there in the world as well?
I believe in it, and I use the framework of competence, courage, and confidence, right? So when you build competence, then you will be confident. And then when you implement the confidence that you have developed, then you can be courageous.
You think competence comes first?
Yes.
Tell me more.
For instance, Tiger Woods, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he were not from Pampers almost trained by his father to be competent, how would it be that he could be on the greens with a Jack Nicklaus? Or good. That his father would even have the moxie to put him out there.
That's good.
He had to be confident. He had to be competent. And there are certain things in which we have to have just enough competence. But then there are certain things in which we have to have an elite level of competence. I need to know just enough to iron a dress. Right? Just enough. Just enough. Yeah. But if I am a, top of the line Burberry level designer, I've got to know how to do things with a piece of fabric.
That's good.
That a regular person just would not be able to accomplish.
Yeah.
So depending upon where we sit in the ecosystem is the word you use. I love that word. Ecosystem, whatever ecosystem we're in, depending upon where we sit and what we promote ourselves or purport ourselves to be, determines the level of competence that we are required to have if we're going to stay there.
Let me ask you this, Ms. Janice. Do you think that there are some universal competencies that we all have to have as professionals prior to us becoming elite in one specific area?
I think that varies
Mm-hmm.
because all of us have different areas where we're going to focus.
Yeah.
But I think the highest level of competence that we all have to have is the clarity of where we're going to focus.
Hmm.
If we don't have that, then we will spin our wheels on doing stuff that we could probably pay somebody else to do.
Exactly.
But because we feel like we have to be, and I don't know how this goes, the dishwasher, the bottle, what is it, the cook, the bottle washer, and all of the things, right?
Yeah.
We feel like we have to be all the things because we're not clear
Mm.
as to what we really should be focusing on. So you may need to do your books right now, but as you're moving forward in improving and increasing your competence in your specialty, you have to give those books over to somebody who's highly competent in handling those books, so that you don't have to keep looking back trying to figure out if they're okay. You have to check it, but you don't have to spend an inordinate amount of time on those things.
Jim Collins, in his book B 2.0, probably one of the best leadership books that I've read outside of obviously the Bible, communicated that when we get 95% of our teams on the right bus, that's until we get 95% of our people on the right bus, we're not developing and creating an organization that can truly thrive. And how he communicated people in the right seats on the bus is when you get 95% of your people to operate in their zone of genius.
Yes.
When you hear the word or the phrase zone of genius, someone listening in, how do we tap into that zone of genius? How do we understand what it is? And why is that so important?
You know, I love Jim Collins. He is a technician as far as organizational development and understanding organizational dynamics. I just absolutely love him. And so when he talks about, getting the right people on the bus, he also talks about getting the wrong people off the bus. I love that. Like, open the door, you are free to go. Goodbye. So I love that. But when you think about genius, there are an individual, they could be a polymath, a person who just knows a lot about a lot of things. And I sometimes fall in that space because I do have a lot of interest. And when I have interest, I do build a foundation of information on that interest so that I'm very astute about it. So I do have that propensity to kind of delve into a lot of things. But if I'm going to know it, I'm going to know it. Yeah. But when you think about intelligences, when somebody's in their zone of genius, like a Steph Curry, who, when I heard LeBron James referring to Steph Curry in the interview, he said, "I've learned that you have to start guarding him when he get out the car on the parking lot." Because there is no stopping this man, right? But again, another person who's been trained from Pampers by his father to be able to do what he does on the court. And he has taken it to the nth degree because he took the that level of intelligence, and he built the other supporting skills around it to help him to be off the charts when it comes to performing his craft. There are certain people, like when you look at, and I actually have been doing kind of like a side study of Dennis Rodman, who when he was playing and he was in his heyday, unbelievable defensive player.
He was a beast.
Like, but I'm trying to think of who it was. Scottie Pippen was talking about his experience with Dennis Rodman. And one of the things he said was when they used to line up to shoot, everybody had to line up when they were in practice. They'd have to line up to shoot a certain amount of balls from different places on the court. And Dennis Rodman used to just stand. Now, we knew him to be a little on the defiant side. Disclaimer, I'm just saying what I heard. So if Dennis, if you ever get to watch this, I don't have that personal experience. I'm just saying this is hearsay. But he used to be a little bit, something, but he used to stand under the basket and Scotty would say, get in line because we're practicing it, get in line. And so he would not get in line and he would stand under the basket and he would just watch. And he said, well, what are you doing? He said, I am watching when each person shoots and misses where I have to go to recover the ball.
That's so good. That's so good.
I was like,
that's so good.
That was amazing because he knew where his intelligence was. Can he shoot the ball? Yes. But his intelligence was recovering the ball.
Recovering. That's so good.
And so when he would look at a Michael Jordan on those few times that he might miss the ball, if it was coming off the rim and Michael shot it, I know I have to go here.
That's good.
But if it's coming off if Scotty is shooting it and he misses it, I have to go there. And he was so astute in that genius. And it's not to say that we have to ignore the world, but we have to be sold out on the thing that we are made for.
That's good.
So that we can become the best of class. So that when anybody says, who is the best business fundraiser in this region, your name is the only one that comes up.
Of course. It's interesting that you say that because yesterday I saw on LinkedIn a conference that was happening in Charlotte last week, and it was about advancement for schools. And then I kind of got upset for a second because I'm like, why wasn't I on that stage? Like, why wasn't I invited? And I had a conversation with a mentor months ago, and he was like, because those people that put on that conference don't know who you are. And it's not how good you are at something. It's about how well or how much or how well known you are in that specific space. Ms. Janice, what would you want people to know about you and your career and what you're currently doing for leaders? And when you share it, why are you the best in class at what you do?
That is a powerful thought. Let me think about that. Well, before I answer that, I had an experience similar to yours with regard to the conference and why wasn't I invited? I was sitting in a conference and I was watching a speaker on stage and I was almost in tears because that person, in my professional opinion, I'm not talking about personal, my professional opinion, I had no idea how that person found themselves on that stage. And I'm having this conversation kind of in my heart about it. And I'm like, God, why is she there and I'm here? And the answer was point blank, because she marketed and you didn't.
That's good.
I was like, okay, I had to take that on the chin.
Yeah.
Because it literally is not how good we can be or how good we are, but it's how we posture ourselves to be in spaces. Now, there are those small and few in between times when somebody will find us and literally find us.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we have to make ourselves findable. It's just like when I'm going to get a new earpiece, right? I have my phone and I have my earpiece. In order to pair them, I have to make this one searchable and I have to make this one search.
That's a great analogy, Miss Janice. I never thought about it like that, and I love the analogies. I look at them as, parables in the Bible, but we want to pair ourselves with contacts and partners and opportunities and speaking engagements and all of these different things, and even jobs for people that are listening in. How are you making yourself searchable? Because in order for me to pair my AirPods to my phone, they have to be in close proximity.
Right.
I can't be in the car, in the garage, and my phone's upstairs and me expecting a pair to happen. So how can you get close to where your next opportunity is, where your next job is, where your next person is? Ms. Janice, I'm interested in, if you had 60 seconds and you were to share a message with everyone in the world and they would have to hear it and implement those specific steps, what would you say?
I'd start with God's Minute by Dr. Benjamin Mays, which is, I've only got a minute, only 60 seconds in it, forced upon me. I can't refuse it. I didn't seek it and I didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I will give an account if I abuse it. I will suffer if I lose it. I have a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it.
That's so good.
Time is always moving. And if we are going to maximize whatever we have been given in our heart and in our soul to do, we cannot waste the time that we have available to us. Don't waste the time. Don't waste your energy. Don't waste your context. Don't waste your influence. Don't waste your breath. Don't waste your money. Because at the end of the day, time we cannot recover. And that's what I would share, because everything else is ancillary. Everything else is ancillary, because if we don't utilize this time, anything we have, skills and all that stuff is of no importance if we don't engage while we have the opportunity.
A mentor of mine years ago gave me the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and it transformed the way that I look at time, the way that I look at habit stacking and operating in the windows and being able to maximize the time that I have in front of me. Another book, Essentialism, another book, The One Thing. And all of those books were provided by mentors. When you think of your career, where you've been, where you are, and where you're going, who are some mentors that have really transformed the way that you operate, either professionally or personally?
Okay, so foundational, of course, we know that knowing and understanding the Word of God is of the utmost, because everything, literally all of the books that we're reading are based on that. Another. I remember when I was in junior high school. My first hand up was a gym teacher named David Thorne.
Hey, I know you're enjoying the episode, but I want to ask you a quick question. I promise, just a quick question. If you could stop chasing dollars and start building a fundraising system that actually works, would you do it? That's what the NP Accelerator is all about. In 12 weeks, we help nonprofit leaders just like yourself strategize, secure, and scale with tools, coaching, and accountability that actually moves the needle forward. No more guesswork, no more burnout, just a clear path to grow your impact and your income. Spots are limited and your mission can no longer wait. Check the show notes, click the link, and book a discovery call with our team right now. Hey, let's get back to the episode. You will not want to miss what's coming next.
He decided a gym teacher, not the counselor, but the gym teacher, decided that I needed to go to a highly academic school in the city of Philadelphia, and that changed the trajectory of my life. The next person, Dimitri Kariga, taught me to be relentless in music and taught me to be relentless in my search for perfection. And just that school environment was a third. The biggest trajectory change for me was finding Zig Ziglar. And that man just took me, because he's a born again Christian, but he was a salesperson who had a fervor that just took me into spaces I didn't think that I would ever be in. And then I had some speaking coaches who helped me to learn the dynamics of platform speaking and the dynamics of how to be in the speaking industry. And so many spiritual and pastoral mentors that I've had, and also in career coaching. as I started my career 26 years ago, there are two women, Marlon Callaton and also Lori Plant, who taught me from the word go how to make a resume. And we're still friends today. The two of them were just unbelievable in their passion for helping people in this industry we call career management, which I call, we are the silent partner to the marketplace, because nobody really knows they need career management until their career bottoms out.
Yeah.
And then where do they fall? They fall in the safety net of what we provide, which is how to get them back on their feet and how to get their head back in the game and how to get them back to that job. So there have been a lot, and I love the concept of mentoring. I've mentored several scores of people. I wouldn't say hundreds, but several scores of people in different areas, because I think mentoring is such a powerful, powerful skill, and it's very much needed in this time that we're experiencing now.
That's so good. And it's interesting how you went through kind of the beginning to the present to where you're going, and how there was a grit, there was a fervor in you, but there was always a person that that was an expert in that specific area, that allowed you to be able to be exposed to more information, or even that hand up, like you mentioned earlier, to be able to get you to that next stage. Why is that important for people in their careers or wherever they are in life, to have those people, those relationships around them that can be able to move them forward in their journey?
I think it's because we don't know what we don't know. We do not know what we don't know. Right now, I'm teaching out of a book that I wrote in 2019. It's called The 26 Doses of Career Triage. And basically, it's 26 attributes or personality traits that a person needs in order to build their career and to be sustainable. And I have a person in there who bought the book when I first wrote it back in 2019. And now I'm teaching the book at my church, and she's in the class. And she said, Janice, if you had taught this book to me in 2019, now this was, she bought it, but I didn't teach it to her. And now, and she was actually a client of mine in intermittent of these times, but now she's saying the impact of what I had in my hands 6 years ago is just blossoming. So putting face to face, belly to belly, people who can help you to move to the next level is so important in any industry or in any field of expertise. You will never, even if they say they're self-made, they're not.
That's good.
You will never find somebody who is highly successful who did not have a mentor or a group of mentors, coaches, and teachers who have helped them, because it's important. We don't know what we don't know.
That's good. Somebody right now is listening in and they need somebody. What I believe is that they need a Miss Janice Coleman. How can you help them though? What is your framework? What is your step-by-step to being able to transform people from where they are to getting to that place where they're operating in that zone of genius and operating at their fullest potential?
If it's in the career space, and thank you so much again, Kyle, for this opportunity to be with you and to have this conversation. It's been amazing. If a person has a desire to move from where they are inside of their career, and they feel as though they need some assistance with that, they can reach out to me and we'll have a conversation. And I want to see where they are. Again, if they are in a space where they actually are ready, because sometimes we know we need it, but I'm not the person. I have to admit this. This is true confessions now. I'm not the person who's going to cajole you from step 1 to step 2. You know me well enough, I believe, to know that I'm like, if on a scale from 1 to 10, you're not a 15, we can't work together. because I really want to work with people who really want to work.
Agreed.
And so as I'm talking with somebody, if they're not there, that's okay. There are other resources that I can point them to, books that I can share. And Zig Ziglar would be, top of my list. A Jim Rohn would be on the top of my list for who to start with. And then when you get that fervor and you're really ready to move, then let's get moving. And so I identify where they are, where they want to be. And as we mentioned early on, what do we need to build in the middle to bridge the gap? Because I don't want to build quickly and then something fall apart.
That's good.
I would like for us to build consistently one thing on top of the other. And then depending upon what it is they're looking for, whether it's the career coaching aspect of me, or it's the leadership development aspect of me, or if it's this me speaking on the stage aspect of me, then we work toward getting that at a level where it's going to be executed elegantly and with the highest level of impact possible.
Let me ask you this. I know we've had private conversations about the transition that you're making, and you went from coaching what I would like to see in private and being able to challenge and empower professionals in their career journeys to now you're a renowned speaker in sharing your message and your story on stages around the world. My question, though, is that event planner, that organization, that leader of a corporation that's listening right now, what would they get from seeing you speak on stage?
What would they get? I feel that I am action provoking. I'm not a thought provoking speaker.
Like that.
I'm an action provoking speaker. I'm the person who's going to incite you to almost be self-embarrassed if you're not living up to your own potential, because you know what it is.
Yeah.
And so the question becomes, why are you allowing the apparent barriers to keep you back? And let's overcome those apparent barriers and make them stepping stones to the next good and best version of who you have been designed to be. So the event planner, the manager, the director, the CEO, if you bring me to your stage, I'm going to incite change. It may at some levels be unbearable. If you have 150 or 200 or 3,000 people changing all at once. But in the end, once it all settles down, there is no creation without noise. But once the noise settles down, you'll be in a better place.
Ms. Janice, where can we find you online, and how can we support your initiatives moving forward?
You can find me on LinkedIn at Janice Coleman, Janice M. Coleman. You can find, you know what? I made it all easy for myself. My website, janicecoleman.com. If you would like to look at my book, which book am I talking about? Trust the Process. I'm sorry, had a little drop there. Trust the Process, the companion for job seekers to go from layoff to landing. That is www.trusttheprocesswithjanice.com. And you can find me on YouTube, as I'm starting to build on YouTube, and of course across the other social media platforms. But you can get me directly, Janice at janicecoleman.com.
That's so good. Ms. Janice, I appreciate you so much for coming on here. I appreciate how you've reminded me to ensure that I am congruent, that I am aligned, that yes, how I can do everything isn't how I do anything, but that means that there's an integrity challenge that I need to focus on as well. Anybody listening, I don't want this to just be one of those conversations that you took notes, that you were provoked or your thoughts were provoked. I want you to take action. I want you to do the work and understand who you are. I want you to do the work and understand what you have to offer. What are you really great at? And then I want you to hire Miss Janice to have her help you go through a process of developing that thing so that you can actually love where you are through using your gift, using your talent, and operating in your zone of genius. so that you can make a true impact. Miss Janice, we appreciate you so much. And one of the questions that we always ask on the Contagious Culture Podcast is, what type of culture are you spreading? The energy you bring is the culture you create. Make yours worth catching. We'll see you all next episode.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Contagious Culture Podcast. If this episode challenged or inspired you, hey, take a second to share it with someone who's building culture in their world. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps more leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself join the movement. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or YouTube at Kyle S. King for more tips, tools, and methodologies to be able to help you create this ecosystem of absolute excellence. Until next time, lead boldly, live intentionally, and remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching.